This is the story of a boy who talked about stupid Nintendo games. Ever since 2017, he's done it 149 times and shows no sign of shame. Every single week he'd go Madden 08 this and Fling Smash that. It's really impressive how many sentences he could start with "Hey all." Any professional could make the argument he's gone off the deep end, but I think it's just how he's always been. He just enjoys talking about these things, regardless of what situation he's in. Plus, he buys a lot of stuff, like a lot. Everybody was like, Jesus Christ, I think he does it for fun.
Celebrating the best years of 2018, it's the Yearies.
Hey y'all, Scott.
I'm free! Alright, that doesn't bring a lot to say about without that times 2 Roman font, we got a logo to make. Sometimes the entire identity of a game changes because it's just getting started. Max, suppose yourself fine. The PSP, Metal Solid 5, the OA collection with PC. At an arrangement. Stimulated by having a he said he's one of us. It can be the most magical thing ever. That hour comes back out. It's interesting. A lot of the time, we can all kind of tell if the game is going to stick. We're gold is pretty good. A lot of us become low with this game. Probably not good. You can see trouble dealing from a mile away. But be proven wrong, you're right exactly this one. Everything I wanted.
He said words just to show you how insane I've been lately.
I ate here. Stop screaming. Gotta go. Stop to get to it. There's something about it. That's a street conference. Bethesda and Eve were all teammates for years. They hope I'm sure because I didn't even mention that game before. Not only was this conference awarded by some guys screaming at almost every sentence the presenter said, which is better than making the conference like 4 hour games than it was intended to be. But Bethesda didn't really show anything. Also published games ain't either. Who the hell's games? There's no gameplay shown. Games they already knew about. Games that are there at every E3 more likely to Switch play Doom Eternal for Jill to pat my respect. Now I'd rather play this was an effective nail in the coffin. Halo 1 so we've never seen follow-up by Nintendo on the Switch. With a Doom Eternal looks like they're more
Well, that was the quickest 6 hours
I've
I've ever experienced. It felt like 22 minutes. And it looks like it's finally time to review the winner.
Mega Man X
And the
Legacy.
winner.
Alright, here we go. Let's
Year of the year. 2018.
Great to have some of these games on Switch.
But
It is incredibly annoying that they're separated via 2 valves. I got it with the original Mega Man Legacy Collection, so I couldn't care less about Assassin's Creed. It's irritating that they didn't combine the Zelda critical release. It's still kind of something like the Zelda Legacy Collection better go laid down. They have no excuse to be this way. They released the exact same day. Watch Dogs Legion. Watch Dogs is pretty decent. Same extras just with different games. Plus, X Legacy Collection 2 is undoubtedly the worst collection. A new TV show by the latter half of the X series, which why is this at E3? Well, Nintendo Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, the vehicle kit, and Adventure Time in Brawlhalla. But it was also kind of like Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Knew what to expect from Labo at this point. Tom Clancy's suckered into this one as much. Warframe was Just Dance 2020 for the Wii, not the Wii U, PS3 or 360, but the Wii. I love that. Mario Kart Deluxe randomly got a new update where Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine. Nice. But Tom Clancy's The Division 2 update.
Does anybody know who Tom Clancy is anymore?
Jesus Christ, nearly half the games shown here are Tom Clancy games. Jesus, this is brutal. Uplay Plus, a Ubisoft subscription service. Oh my god. I'm really tired of companies thinking their shit doesn't stink and they can make their own subscription service. Like when companies say, man, we don't need to put our stuff on Netflix. Literally anybody can release a game on the Switch eShop. I'm sorry, but who thinks this is a good deal? Nearly all of these games are stupidly cheap now. Why would I pay $15 a month for Rayman Origins and Uno? Who's gonna say, damn, I want to play Ubisoft games and only Ubisoft games? For every good one, there's but I don't want to calculation castle. I'll pay for a Ubisoft August was automatically great because I just don't see the Smash Brothers Ultimate Direct on August 8th. A Ubisoft Rocket way better than E3. And Gods and Monsters, a game that legitimately has a very nice art style. There were no negatives with this direct, but I don't know what the game plays like. Oh my Smash Brothers for 30 minutes. That wasn't great. I think it was better than Bethesda in terms of just having new games there and being less annoying. But to be honest, the screaming dude at Bethesda at least made a terrible conference sort of funny. I think Ubisoft was slightly better. I didn't pick this one up just yet, but I did buy Okami
No
HD.
Sony this year, but Square Enix hosted their own press conference around the same time Sony does on June
yeah,
10th.
Picross
And I
S2.
predict
More
everybody will say
Picross,
they
man.
love
It's
Square
so
Enix's
good. It's so
presentation
Picross.
just because
Monster Hunter
they showed the Final
Generations
Fantasy
Ultimate
VII
Overcooked
remake.
2.
And
And oh boy, did they. This game looks incredible. I'm actually interested in a Final Fantasy game. And then they proceed to tell us about a game that's already out. Damn it. To be fair, a new episode is on its way for Life is Strange 2.
really stood out to me outside of Untitled
to move
Goose
forward
Game.
after
They
such
revealed
an
Into the
amazing
Breach at the
introduction.
end, which
Final
I know
Fantasy
was made by the same guys behind FTL.
This
was
was
announced almost a
didn't
year
really
ago.
excite me at all, to be honest. Diablo 3 was
Winter?
officially announced
What
after
the
being
hell?
rumored
How
for
is this
months.
coming out over a year after it got announced?
Blizzard is
The
back
Last
publishing
Remnant
games on
remastered,
Nintendo
available
platforms.
now on Switch.
Overwatch
That would have been
would've
a
been such a
crazy
better
announcement
fit.
if I
Would've been
knew
so
what The
much
Last
cooler to
Remnant
see.
was.
Doom Eternal's
Octopath
gameplay
Traveler
was
on
shown off,
PC.
and it was announced the game would be
A Dragon Quest Builders 2.
to
Alright,
everything.
it's coming soon.
Including
Dragon Quest
Nintendo
11 on
Switch.
Switch.
That
Oh
was
my god, this is a
awesome.
game
It
from
was great to see a modern
2017.
game
This
get announced
isn't
for Switch
interesting.
day and
This
date with
looks
the other
very good on
versions, and they didn't
Switch,
make a huge
but
deal
this is an
about it.
old
It was
game,
like it
and
was
we
just
already
one of
saw
the other
all the
consoles.
improvements
But
in this
brace
version
yourself,
in a
folks,
previous Nintendo
because
Direct.
development on
Both
Steep for
11 and
Nintendo
Builders
Switch
2's trailer just
was
felt
officially
needlessly
halted.
long to me. I was just like, yeah, I get it.
This game was shown off in the
especially with
original
11s,
January
considering
2017 presentation,
people can
and they
play
never
Dragon
really
Quest
said
11
anything
right
about it
now.
for a year and a
Circuit
half.
Superstars
And
and
now
Battalion
they'll really never
1944.
say anything about
Okay,
it.
these
September
were some of the most
2018 was my
forgettable
favorite
games
month
shown
to
off
date
at
Nintendo
E3.
Switch
I have to give
Online,
them
but
that.
first
Square
the
Enix
Nintendo
music
Direct
now
premiered
available
on
to stream.
September
Yeah,
13th
happened
after
before
being
this
delayed
conference.
from a
Nothing new
September
here.
6th
Kingdom
date
Hearts
after
3
a
DLC,
tragic
Final
earthquake in
Fantasy
Japan.
14 update,
That was
Dying
perfectly
Light 2,
fine waiting,
Romancing
especially
Saga 3,
considering
and
the
Scarlet Grace coming to the
circumstances, and it
West.
was
That's
well
pretty
worth the
cool.
wait.
Final
This was a
Fantasy
pretty
Brave
decent direct.
Exvius.
Luigi's Mansion 3
Jesus,
was revealed right
what
off the
the
bat.
hell is up
It
with
looked
companies
okay.
showing mobile
One of the
games
things
during
that
their
makes
press
Luigi's Mansion
conferences
so
this
memorable
year?
for people is
Outriders,
the
done by people
atmosphere
can
and
fly.
overall
I
aesthetic.
really enjoyed
Mega
Bulletstorm,
dig the
but
family-friendly
this game
yet still
does nothing
creepy,
for me so
unnerving
far.
haunted house look.
I just
The
don't really
original
care.
nailed that.
Oninaki.
It was
Luigi's
fine.
Mansion
Dark
Final
Moon
Fantasy
and
8 is
3
finally getting a
doesn't look
re-release.
dark
That's
enough,
awesome.
and the aesthetic
I think
feels
the source
more
code
like
for this
Haunted
game
House
was
clip
lost,
art
so
to me.
it's great
I
to
don't
see
know.
it
Not
actually
saying it looks
resurface.
bad, it just
And
looks
the
okay
Avengers
so
game
far.
by
I need
Crystal
to see
Dynamics
more.
is
New Super
finally
Mario Bros.
shown
U
off.
Deluxe was
This
announced,
was
and somebody
announced
was
years
probably
ago.
happy.
They're
This was a
finally
port I would have
confident
never
in showing-
guessed they would do a year ago.
showing some
It just
cutscenes.
didn't make
They
any
spliced
sense.
in like
Why
4
not just
seconds of
carve out a
gameplay,
new
but
New
that
Super
was
Mario
it.
Brothers
I
game?
really want to be
You can't
excited
dig
for
that
this.
many
I want more
resources.
Marvel
Hey,
games
getting
as
a
fun
port
and
of the
well
Wii
made
U's
as
new Super
Spider-Man
Mario means
PS4.
we aren't getting a
And
brand
while
new
I think
one,
the
and
story
Nintendo
may
Steam
be on
can work
par
on
with
way better
Spider-Man
7,
games, I'm
I mean,
okay with
that
it.
game was really fun to play.
6 was supposed to be
And I have no
announced in
idea
the
what this
direct,
game plays like.
but due to the delay,
I love
was
Crystal
revealed beforehand,
Dynamics, and
the
while
direct
this reveal
acted
was
like it a
entertaining,
big surprise.
I'm just
I guess
not
this was
super
supposed to
on
be
board
the
with this game
big
quite yet.
third-party
It was
game
okay.
we weren't expecting
FF7
for
looks
2018,
fantastic, and I'm
like
looking
how
forward to
Doom
seeing
was
more
for
from Avengers.
2017.
But there was
know,
not
it's
much
cool
in
that it was
between. A
announced,
lot of stuff we already
but
knew about,
jaw-dropping or
a lot of
anything.
stuff that
The Yoshi
wasn't
title from
interesting.
last year's E3
I
got
think
a
people
final
were praising
name,
this
which is
conference simply
Crafted
because
World, and was slated
FF7
for
and
spring.
because it was
The game
way
showed
better
off a
than
new
the other
RPG
shows so
called
far.
Town,
It
a
wasn't too
remake of the
bad,
original Katamari
but after the
Damacy,
beginning,
and
not much was really that
non-stop Final
wild.
Fantasy
Like, it's cool
Final
Fantasy
Fantasy
8
15
finally
Pocket
gets
Edition
re-released,
HD,
but overall,
port of a mobile
it was
version of
just
Final
fine.
Fantasy 15.
That's
all we're getting
what
Final
do we
Fantasy
have
15
here?
related,
The company
isn't it?
I have the
I
most
mean, look at
embarrassing
15. You
feelings
really think
towards.
they could make that work
Well,
on
that
Switch
means I have the most
immediately? It
predictions
could
for
have to be a
Nintendo
substantial
E3
project to port that original game
like
over.
Metroid
And the
Prime
original
5,
consoles
GameCube
also got
games will
Pocket
finally
Edition
come to Wii U
HD, so it doesn't
Virtual
feel
Console.
that
You'll see for
lame.
Mario and
They got
Sonic
it
at the
too.
Rio
It wasn't like they
2016
just
Olympic
did
Games
this
on
for
Wii U.
Switch.
A photo emerges of Shigeru Miyamoto looking
This wasn't the
completely
greatest
lost in the
news.
Epic
This
Games
was the
booth.
lamest
Doug
possible
Bowser
outcome
proves
of
his
getting
worth
Final
as
Fantasy
the new
15 on
Nintendo
Switch.
America
But hey, at
president
least
by
they
eating
announced
an
Crystal
entire
Chronicles
ice cream
HD,
sandwich in one
Chocobo's
bite
Mystery
on
Dungeon,
Treehouse
Final
Live.
Fantasy 12, 10,
Bill
10, 2,
Trinen
9,
is
and
visibly
7.
impressed.
They're
I
actually
didn't have the
bringing
highest
7 to the
expectations of
Switch.
this year for
Became famous for
Nintendo.
not
I was
being
just
a
hoping to be
Nintendo
entertained.
game. That is
There
pretty
were enough
historic.
games that we
Smash
knew
Brothers
about
Ultimate
heading
got
into
a bundle.
E3 that
I
I
thought the
just
dock
wanted
looked
to see
pretty
more
good,
on.
but those
Link's
Joy-Con,
Awakening,
man, right?
Luigi's
Joy-Con
Mansion
fans,
3,
I'm
finally
sorry.
seeing
It came out a
Animal
month before the
Crossing,
game
new
officially
Smash Brothers
did.
DLC
It came with a
character.
code for
Come
Smash
on.
Brothers, which
He's getting
unlocked
all
on
those
December
plus
7th.
2 or
The
3
November
brand new
release
games.
was a bit
I'd
odd.
be
I
content
guess
with
they
that.
wanted to
We
get it
start
out
things
before
off
Black
with the
Friday.
new
Then they
Smash
announced
Brothers
Isabelle for
DLC
Smash
character.
Brothers, and
This
that led into
being
a tease for Animal Crossing on the Switch in
Damn it.
2019.
Alright, so the
They didn't
hero
show
from
anything,
Dragon
but
Quest
hey, what are you
XI
gonna
makes his
do?
way into Smash
Xenoblade
Brothers.
2 Torna
I'm
the
perfectly
Golden
fine with
Country
Dragon
was the
Quest
main Nintendo
representation
title
in
published
Smash.
this month.
I think the
Well, it
series
was
is
DLC for the
beloved,
original Xenoblade
respected,
2.
influenced
You could
countless
purchase a
franchises,
physical
and
copy
is
by
pretty
itself
much
for
the
$40.
de facto
It had a new battle
JRPG
system
series
and
next to
basically
Final
could be
Fantasy.
considered a new game.
I think it just makes
Pretty
sense
cool.
for Dragon Quest to get a character in Smash
Yeah, I didn't buy
Brothers.
it. I did play a fair amount
But
of
after
the
we got the
Capcom beat 'em up
mindfuck
bundle,
Joker
but
from Persona
the
5
mobs aren't
as
nearly
the
as
first
fun on
DLC
console
character,
because you
I
can
was
just
kind of
infinitely play
expecting
a
something
game.
a little
You don't need to
wilder
keep
than
pumping
Dragon
quarters
Quest.
into an
The
arcade
hero
machine,
is
so
one
I
of
flew
the
through
driest
Final Fight in
possible
an hour
DLC
by just
picks they
smashing
could have
buttons
made.
and not thinking
I'm
at all.
happy he's
These
in,
games
but
are
it's
way
not this
more
thing
fun
where,
in the
oh my
arcade
God, who
environment.
could have predicted
But it
this?
was still nice to have a
Everybody
good
was
amount
saying
of Capcom's
Erdrick from
legacy
Dragon Quest 3
playable
was
on
going to be the
Switch.
pick
Sega
for
Ages
Smash
games
Brothers,
finally
but
released,
no, the
starting things
default
off with
costume is
Sonic
the
1 and
Luminary from
Lightning
11,
Force Quest
and
for
then
the
the
Dark
various
Star.
other protagonists throughout the
Right
series
after
are
the Sega
alternate
Genesis
costumes,
Classics
including
collection was
Erdrick.
announced for
Like I
Switch.
said, I'm cool with the
What
Dragon
the
Quest
hell were you
character.
thinking?
It's
Right
just
before
not
you
that
tried to sell a
exciting.
copy
We
of
immediately
Sonic
go into,
1 for
oh,
$8,
come
you
on.
announced a
How
collection
many
of like
damn
50
times do I have to
free
watch a
Genesis
trailer
games,
for a
including
game
Sonic
that's
1
been
for
out
only
since
$30.
2017?
Yeah, I did pick up Lightning
Yoshiaki
Force because it
Koizumi is
wasn't in
here
that
alongside
collection,
Doug
and it ran
Bowser's
pretty
first
well.
appearance
There's
in
a
the
lot of
Nintendo
options in
Direct
these
as
Sega
president
Ages
of NOA.
releases. They're
They make a
structurally
little
pretty
joke
great.
about his last
I
name
am
being
not
Bowser.
paying $8
I
for
like
Sonic
that.
1 when I
And
can
we
just
move
get that
into
collection.
Luigi's Mansion
Labo
3.
vehicle
Holy
get released, and
this
what
looks
do you know,
way
barely
better
anybody
now.
talked about
After
it.
seeing
I
it at
think we might be in
E3,
for
I'm
one more
legitimately
Labo
excited
kit,
about
maybe
3.
two, but
The first
I don't
trailer
think it's
just
going
didn't
too
look
far
that
past
great,
that,
but now
unfortunately.
the
Scribblenauts
lighting, the
redeemed
shadows, the
themselves
color,
after
the
Showdown
textures,
by
the detail,
releasing the
everything
Mega
just
Pack
reeks of
featuring Scribblenauts
polish.
Unlimited and
This
Unmasked.
looks like a game from
Dragon Ball
2019,
Fighter Z
and the
finally
new
came out
gameplay
for the
mechanics they
platform.
detailed look
Undertale,
stupid
Valkyria
enjoyable.
Chronicles 4,
The
South
slamming a
Park:
ghost
The
around,
Secret
using
Truth,
Luigi to
Wandersong,
get past
NBA
obstacles,
2K19.
great stuff.
This
It's
is a
also
really
nice
good
to
month
see a
for
lot more
third-party indie
characters
games.
with
But,
personality
hey,
and
you
unique
look like you
designs
want to play
compared to
Assassin's
Dark
Creed
Moon.
Odyssey Cloud
Luigi's
version on
Mansion
your
3
Switch.
is
Really
legitimately
love that
looking
vibe.
incredibly
Same deal as
promising
Resident
so
Evil
far.
4.
Now I know what you're
Launched
saying.
alongside the
Luigi's
other
Mansion
consoles
3
in
looks
Japan
pretty
only.
good, but I want a tactical
Nice.
game based on
But
Jim
we gotta
Henson's
get
Dark
down to
Crystal.
what
What the
September
hell
was
is wrong with
really
you?
known for.
I have no idea why they decided to showcase
Nintendo
this
Switch
game.
Online
It's
officially
based off of a Netflix
people
series
were
based
not
off of
happy.
this cult
It
classic
basically felt
movie
like
from
all
the
they did
80s.
was push a
It
bun and
looks
made us pay
okay,
for online
but
multiplayer. Nothing really
why they
improved.
show
It was
this,
the
I
same
just
old
don't
thing
really
we were
get.
getting for
The
free
Link's
since
Awakening
launch.
remake
Cloud saves
was
were nice, but
precious.
titles
I'm
like
so
Splatoon
pumped
2
to
and
play
Pokemon
this. I
didn't
love
work
go to
with them
play
to
the
stop
original,
cheating.
and I can't wait to just
Cares?
fiddle
These
around
are
with
games
this
that
game.
people would actually
It's
want
so
cloud
beautiful.
saves
The
for.
music is
Games people
fantastic.
spend
And
hundreds
while
of
it seems
hours
to be
in,
an
they
incredibly
don't wanna lose
faithful
their
remake,
progress.
they're
Nintendo
doing some
Entertainment
interesting
System,
new stuff,
Nintendo
like
Switch
remixing
Online
your own
rolls right
dungeon.
off the tongue.
Trials of
This is a
Mana is
service
getting a
offered free
remake
to
now.
online
If you're
members
like
where
me,
you can
you
play a
probably
selection of
ask,
NES
what the
titles.
hell is a
20
Trials
games
of
were
Mana?
available at
I thought this
launch,
was a
2 to
new
3
Mana
each
game at
month
first,
after
but
that.
no, this
This
is
was
a
the
full
replacement
3D
for
remake
Virtual
of Seiken
Console.
Densetsu
With that, you
3.
just buy
The
whatever old
sequel, The
games you
Secret of
want.
Mana,
Here
we
it's set up
never
more
got
like a
outside of
subscription
Japan,
service
and
where
that
you
fully
just
set
open
in
up
when
the
they
app
revealed the
and pick any
collection
game
of
you wanna
Mana
play.
featuring the
Now, this whole
original
setup is
Trials of
kinda what
Mana
a lot
is
of
getting
people suggested
localized
for
here.
the Virtual
That is
Console to
huge.
evolve.
I
But
am
for
very
this to
happy
work
about that.
well,
Not
there
only
needs
can
to be
people
more
outside
than
of
a
Japan
couple dozen
finally play
games.
Seiken
Why is
Densetsu
this
3
thing
in
locked behind
English,
the online
but
membership?
it's
Do you really
remade
think
as
half the
well, and
people
it
who
looks
play
a
Splatoon
hell of a
2
lot
online
better
give a
than the
piss about
Secret of Mana
baseball on
remake.
NES?
I refuse to
Game
play The
selection
Witcher
at
3
launch
in
was
anything
rough.
above
Sure, I
720p,
was happy
so
to
The
see
Witcher
they offered
3
some
Complete
third-party
Edition on
NES
Switch
games,
was a
and we
nice
got games like
announcement.
Mario
Alright,
3.
I'm
But
super
the
happy to
Cyberpunk
see
was
such
what
a
I feared the
huge
NES
open world
Classic
game
Edition
come
would
to
have.
Switch,
When that
especially
thing
when
was
it's
announced
only
to
a
have
couple of
30
years
NES
old.
games,
From
I
the
was like,
gameplay
"Oh,
footage
great, I
I've
can't
seen,
wait to play
it's
Urban
obviously
Champion
graphically
Intense."
downgraded,
But no,
but
they
it
did
still
a
looks pretty
legitimately
tolerable.
great job
And the fact
piecing
they were
together
able to switch
30 of
this
the
entire
greatest,
thing on a
most
Switch
iconic
game card
NES
is the
games of all
feel-good
time.
story of
For
the year.
Nintendo Switch
Meanwhile,
Online,
Capcom
Nintendo had no
couldn't
problem
fit two
throwing
Resident
pro
Evil games
wrestling
from
and
the early
soccer onto
2000s
the
on one
service.
card.
Seriously,
Fire
these
Emblem
garbage
3 houses,
black
no
box NES
gameplay.
games
Comes
make
out
up
in a
good
month and a
chunk of
half.
the game's
Say
offer.
it with me
It's
now.
gross. You play
It
these
looks
games for
fine.
5 minutes
So
and you
they
never have
build
to
up
play
this
them again.
Resident
Now, in
Evil
terms of
trailer.
playing the
These
games,
people
they
are playing
run
the
and look
Resident
pretty
Evil
great.
1
Hopping from
remake,
game to game
which
is
is already available to play on
instantaneous.
Switch
Online
in a
multiplayer is
spooky
offered
house
across
for
all
about a
games,
minute, and then they
works
reveal
alright.
Resident Evil
But it
5
is
and
annoying
6
how
for
you
the
can't
system.
remap any buttons or turn off this control layout or turn
There
off
are
or change
multiple
this
things I
border
just
or
don't
only was
understand
blue.
here.
Or just
Why
purchase
was
any
this
of
a
these
commercial
games
for
separately
Resident
outside of
Evil
the app.
1?
If you want to play Kirby's Adventure on
5
your
and 6 are
Switch,
coming.
you have
Plus,
to
this
subscribe
feels
to
like
the
a
online
weird thing to
service.
highlight in
Can I
the
just buy it for
big
$5
E3
on the
presentation.
eShop?
The
Nintendo
fact
would
that
make
2
more money
old
that way.
Resident Evil
This
games
is
are
a
coming to
fine
the
way to
system,
play NES games.
especially
They load
5 and
crazy
6.
fast and there's a decent
5 is
selection
generally
now.
well received,
Man,
while
is it
6
hard
is
to get
Resident
excited
Evil
about
6.
NES
Really
games
confusing,
nowadays? Nintendo's
especially
been
considering
drip feeding us
Capcom just
NES
kind of
games
announced
over the
already
years on
1,
other
0, and
platforms,
4 on
and
their
now
own
they're doing it
time
again
with
with
no
the
Nintendo
Switch.
Direct,
They had a bunch
but
of
then
filler
5 and
here
6
too
are
with
announced at
these
E3.
special
That's
releases
just
of
weird to me.
games where
Next
it's
trailer
literally
play
just a
is it
save
looks like
state
Astral
later in the
Chain or
title.
something.
I'm sure since this is basically a
All
subscription
right,
service,
no more Heroes
that
3.
makes adding
Hell
new
yeah,
games
what a
so much
reveal.
slower than it
Contra
would be to just
Rogue
offer them all
Corps.
separately on the
I
eShop.
gotta be honest,
Like
this
instead of
looks
just
like
asking
garbage.
Capcom
It's
if they
been
could
almost
put
a
Mega Man
decade
2
since
out
the
through
last
the
Contra
virtual
game,
console on
and
the
the first
eShop.
one since then
Nintendo
is
definitely
a
has to
3D
pay them
overhead
something
shooter.
up front,
Yeah,
or
that's what people
Capcom will
wanted.
get a certain
At least
percentage
Contra
of money
Anniversary
from the
Collection
online
was thrown on the
membership
eShop right
subscriptions
after
or
the
whatever.
Direct.
I think
throwing
throwing a game on the
Machina,
eShop
this
is
game has
way
been
easier
part
to
of
do
what,
for
like
most
4
companies,
Nintendo
even
Directs at this point,
Nintendo.
and how many
This
people
is just
do you hear
making things
not
more
talking
complicated
about it?
for
Well, to
everybody.
answer
And
that
because of
question, I
that, we
looked
get
up the
less
population
NES
of the
games than
world.
we
A
ever
Panzer
did on
Dragoon
older
remake
virtual
actually
console
looks really
services.
nice. I have
Seriously,
no
Nintendo,
idea why
2
my
NES
first
games
thought
per
was
month? You would
they're
release
bringing back
2 NES
Lair,
games per
and then 2
week
seconds
on the
later I
Wii
was
U
like,
sometimes.
yeah, it's Panzer
Hey,
Dragoon.
at least with this
Jesus.
service, if we
Either way,
pay for
it's good to see
Nintendo
this
Switch
back.
Online,
Pokemon
Nintendo gives
Sword
us
and
the right to
Shield,
buy
we got
NES
info about
controllers
these games
for
a
the
week
Switch,
before E3.
$60. That
I
is a
hate when
little high
Nintendo
for
wastes
NES
time on games
controllers,
they
I
already
must
talked
admit.
about
I'd
elsewhere.
rather be
Next
able to
game.
buy the NES
Astral
games I
Chain,
want to
looking
own on
pretty
the
solid.
eShop and
I
have
enjoy
this
platinum
service
games
as
from
an
time to
option
time.
outside of
I'm
Nintendo
not as
Switch
invested
Online.
into them
The
as a
service
lot
is
of other
only
people
$20
are,
a year,
but I
which
will
is
say
totally
this is
manageable by
looking pretty
most
sweet.
people.
Empire
But
of
instead
Sin,
of
watch
making
any
a
live
great
reaction to
service
this
for
Nintendo
$60
Direct
a
and
year,
everybody does the
Nintendo
same
opted
thing.
to make a mediocre one for $20. It was just
Marvel
so
Ultimate
annoying
Alliance
that
3.
this was
It
what we
looks
got after
fine.
waiting
Actually,
a
no,
year
I'm
for
fine with
Nintendo
saying
Switch
I
Online.
don't think this
They
game
always
looks all
kept
too
saying,
great. It
we'll have
looks
more to
really
reveal
low
about this
budget and
service
nothing
later.
special.
If
It looks
Nintendo
like a
delayed
Wii
the
game.
service just
It's
to get
cool
the
that
online
Nintendo
multiplayer for
resurrected
NES
the
games
series,
working right,
but it baffles me
if
that
a
they decided to
billion-dollar
put
company
time
had
and effort
problems
into
getting
resurrecting
NES
this
games to
series
run online,
out of
we're
all
fucked as a
series.
society.
Genesis of Hyrule
Dark
gets a
Souls
release date
Remastered
of right
finally
after
released in
E3.
summer of
I'm eager to try
2018
this
if
out.
you count October or
Adventure
summer.
game in
But the
the
game I
Zelda
was more
universe,
intrigued by
I
this
definitely
month
want
was
to give the
Super
original
Mario
Crypt
Party.
of the Necro
Super Mario
Dancer
Party
a go as
proved
well.
that NDQ
Mario
knew
and
what
Sonic
people
at the
wanted from
Tokyo
Mario Party,
2020
but really
Olympic
didn't
Games
know what people
actually
wanted
looks
from Mario
pretty
Party.
good.
Compared
The
to
Wii
recent
entries
Mario
were
Party
garbage,
titles that
who
were
cares?
just the
But this
definition
one
of
looks
not
like they
very,
put some
very
solid
good,
DLC into
Super
it.
Mario
I'm
Party
digging what
reverts
I'm
to the
seeing so
formula
far.
of the first
And then
8
finally,
titles, and that
after
definitely
waiting
makes
for
things
over a
super
decade,
tolerable.
we get
This
to
is a
see
fun
a traditional
multiplayer game,
new
but it
Animal
is
Crossing
nowhere
on a
near
home
as good as the
console.
height of the N64 and GameCube
Yeah, it
Mario
got
parties.
delayed to
It feels like
2020,
they went for
but
quantity
Animal
over
Crossing
quality
New
when it comes to
Horizons
the modes in this game.
looks really
There are a
daring.
ton of
They're
things to do here.
actively changing
But each and every
a
one
fair
of them
amount
is
stuff with the
gimpy.
series,
There's just
but not in
enough
bad
to
ways.
them. There are
adding
only
things people
4
have been
boards in the
begging
standard
for
Mario Party
ages,
mode.
and
I'm sorry, but
honestly,
that is unacceptable.
I think I
Even
can
worse
wait
is the
till
fact that
March
each
to play
board
this.
is grid-based.
It'll
They just
probably
don't
be
have
worth
the
it.
most interesting
A bit of a
layouts.
sizzle reel
It's
showing
really
a
small.
bunch of Switch
There aren't
titles
enough
coming
different
soon.
pathways for
Spyro
you to go on,
Reignited
and most of
Trilogy,
the time
Alien
there's a path that is
Isolation, Ni no Kuni,
undeniably
Super
the
Lucky
best one to
Still,
go
but-
on. So really,
Okay,
in the
we're
end,
getting
each board
another
just kinda
Smash Brothers
feels like you
reveal.
and your friends are
This
constantly
is
going
a
around in
reprise of
circles
the
with how
King K.
small,
Rool
simple,
trailer.
and
I
undeveloped
assume
the
this is
boards
going to be
are.
like
Also,
Dixie
this
Con or
game just
something.
has so many things that are unbalanced about it. Now, half the fun of Mario
Holy
Party is the fact that a lot of things are
Banjo-Kazooie Kazooie is in Smash Bros. This is
The main goal in the standard Mario
Microsoft
Party game is
characters
to
in
get as
Smash
many
Brothers.
stars as
Everybody
possible,
was
which you
speculating
primarily
3
get by
Microsoft
collecting and
characters:
spending the
Steve
coins
from
you earn from
Minecraft,
playing
Master
mini-games
Chief,
and landing
or
on good
Banjo
spaces.
Kazooie. I
You
would have been
get
fine with
so
any
many
of them.
coins in
I'm
this
definitely
game,
more
but
into
they lose
Banjo
so
out of
much
all these
value.
franchises.
Stars are
but
so
I was
cheap to
personally
buy,
rooting
like
for
who cares
Master
if you
Chief
lose
just because
coins? And that's a major
he's the
problem. There needs to be
Xbox
weight to the things
So
going
while
on.
Banjo
Now
Kazooie
the
would have
mini
made
games
me
are perfectly
happier,
fine, and
while
while the
Master
boards
Chief
are a
would
step
have
in the
been
right
like
direction
this
compared to Mario
insane
Party
gaming
9 and
moment.
10,
And Banjo's kind
they
of more of
definitely
an
needed
us
more of them, and the
Nintendo
boards
fans
themselves
thing,
need to
but
be of higher quality. The other modes in
I'm so
Super Mario
happy.
Party
This
are
was such an
kinda
incredible
cool.
moment. Banjo and
The first
Kazooie
time
look
around.
so damn
River
good.
Survival is
I keep
fun. You have to
rewatching
travel
this
down a
trailer.
stream with
It's
your
so
friends
nice to see
cooperating
these
to win
characters
mini
back
games
on a
to gain more
Nintendo
time on the
console.
clock.
I hope
It's
this
actually
means
a
we
really
get stuff
fun
like a new
idea.
Banjo
But
game.
there's only 10 different mini
This
games that can
alone
appear in
is
this
just
mode.
beautiful.
Kind of repeat
They could have
fairly
ended
often.
right there.
Also, it's
But, oh my
way
God.
too easy.
I mean, of course they were going to make a
started
sequel
you
to
off
Breath
with
of
less
the Wild.
time, it
I
would
was
be
expecting
better.
if it was
But
ever going to
overall,
happen,
this was just a mode
they were
that
going
was a
to
good
announce it
idea,
in 2020.
but kind of ruined with the execution.
Here we are.
They got
Breath of the
so
Wild
much right
is
with
one
the
of my
concepts
favorite
in
games of
Super
all
Mario
time.
Party.
I'm very excited.
But in the
Look,
end, they just
potentially
needed more
Ganondorf's
game
rotting
boards and
body.
better
This
ones
is
at
the
that.
best.
Or they just need
Yeah,
to put
Nintendo
more effort
definitely
into
won
all the
E3.
modes.
The middle
Every
of the
single
direct
one of them
definitely
is
dragged a
lacking
bit
in
with
some
your
way.
Daemon
It's
X
still definitely a fun
Machinas,
time with
Marvel
friends,
Ultimate Alliance
but
3,
honestly,
Fire
after
Emblem
I've seen
Three
everything
Houses,
this
that
one
game
has to
nobody
offer,
saw any value in,
I'd rather just
but
play
it
the
started and
GameCube
ended
games from now
way
on
too
with my
strong to
friends.
give it
Now I know
anything
not
below a
everybody has
3.
access to
In
the
fact,
older Mario
I'm
Party,
feeling
so for
generous.
them, Super
It
Mario
gets an
Party
extra
is
point for
perfectly
this,
fine. It does the
this,
job of
and
supplying
this.
a fun enough new Mario Party.
it just could have been so
That was a
much
bad
better.
E3.
I'm really hoping
Nintendo
for
was
Super
good,
Mario Party
Microsoft was
2 with
okay,
better
but without
and more
Sony,
boards or more of a focus on
really felt
quality
like
over
something was
quantity
missing
with
here.
modes.
People
World
always
ends
say
with
how
you,
E3
Final
is
Remix,
dying
a
and companies
remaster
don't
of
take
the
it as
DS
seriously
title
anymore.
for $50.
And while I
That
feel like
was a little
statements like
steep,
that
and from what
are
I've heard,
exaggerated
this
a
really
bit,
isn't one of the
this
best
year
consoles to
definitely
play
made the
World
old
Ends with you
E3
on.
is dying
Playing in
suspicion
handheld mode
feel
seems
more
okay, but
true
playing
now.
on the TV,
I hope it's
it
just
really
because
doesn't
Microsoft
work
and Sony
well.
are
This game
preparing to
definitely
go into the
requires
next
a touch
generation,
screen, which
but
makes
regardless,
me think this remaster would have worked a lot
this E3
better
was
if it was
pretty
released a few
Hopefully
years ago
E3
on the Wii
2020.
U. Dark Souls Remastered finally came out, and
Worst
after
case
playing
scenario,
it,
we'll
I
just
don't
have
think I'm a
Microsoft,
Dark Souls guy.
Ubisoft,
All
and,
those
like,
delays for nothing.
DiGiorno.
It didn't grab me immediately. I'll definitely try it again for sure, but I don't think it's the game for me. But really though, it's great to see this game on Switch, but all those delays were kind of ridiculous. Starlink released and reception was a bit mixed. I wasn't really interested, but it seemed like people either loved the game or found it really boring. Regardless, the Switch version was the only one that did somewhat okay, definitely due to the Star Fox content. But this game really didn't sell well overall. It was put on sale almost immediately after releasing. Mega Man 11 though did fairly well, and I really enjoyed it. It controlled like a dream and has a great look to it. The music was pretty lame by Mega Man standards, and I wish there were more checkpoints. These stages are long, and dying somewhat far into one and having to traverse 5 minutes of the stage again isn't fun. Other than that, this was a solid return to form for Mega Man, and the new double gear mechanic where you can slow down time or power Mega Man up for a brief moment was awesome. I hope for future games they get a little riskier and try more new things like this with the series. 11 did feel pretty vanilla Mega Man overall. Still really good though. Guacamelee, Child of Light, the original Valkyria Chronicles, Windjammers, October was pretty decent overall. Definitely something for everybody here. Now November's big title was Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the first main Pokemon game I ever owned and played, and I'm sorry, but this game was kind of boring. It was obviously made for people like me, or people who fell out of Pokemon, or Pokemon Go fans. But it was just too simple. There was nothing that kept me engaged. I wasn't like, oh man, I gotta keep playing. It felt too basic, probably due to the fact that it was a pretty faithful remake of a Game Boy game. I've seen a lot of people praise Let's Go for trimming the fat of the newer Pokemon games and keeping things simple. But I don't know, man, I think they took it a little too far, and I really lost interest fairly quickly. I think for a Pokemon game to really grab me, it has to be more in-depth than Let's Go, but simpler than the newer games. I'm in Pokemon Purgatory. Also, can we talk about how this game requires you to use one Joy-Con and motion controls in TV mode? There's no reason for doing this. You can play with a standard button layout with no motion controls in handheld mode. Why can't I just use a Pro Controller on the TV? November was a big month for the third parties. We got Diablo 3, Civ 6, Warframe, and Ark. Nice port, guys! I was surprised to see Missplosion Man release on Switch. It was originally a Microsoft published game for 360, but I guess the developer parted ways with them and we got Splosion Man for Switch now. Effin' Carnival Games, guys, it's back! The Wii sensation made its way to Switch, and Jesus Christ, you see, I think you could get away with graphics like these on the Wii, but here even I'm embarrassed with how this looks. The final Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct debuted on November 1st. And it wasn't that great. The announcements were pretty subpar overall and just felt like they already revealed all the cool stuff and had like a bunch of really small whatever things to talk about and they just spread it across 40 minutes. Game still looked great though, it just was a bit of an underwhelming way to end off the announcements. There was a rumor floating around that Eiji Onuma apparently hinted at a Skyward Sword HD remaster at a Zelda concert in Japan. And even though Nintendo made a statement saying, yeah, it's not happening, I mean, it's probably happening. Why else would Onuma say that? Now, I picked up a ton of games over Black Friday. I got a box copy of Bayonetta 2 on the Switch for like $30, but I also went berserk on the eShop. I finally got Doom, Child of Light, Undertale, Sonic Forces for some fucking reason. All those board game and game show games from Ubisoft were on sale, so why not? Yeah, Smash Bros. Came out this month. Let's talk about that. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate single-handedly turned a pretty lame year for first-party Nintendo releases into a pretty lame year for first-party Nintendo releases that at least ended with a really good Smash Bros. And that's all I really say whenever somebody asks what I think about Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's a really good Smash Brothers. The gameplay is better than it's ever been. Oh my god, these visuals are so good. The soundtrack goes on for centuries. The character roster and stage list are mind-boggling. There are still stages in this game that'll pop up and I'll go, oh man, this stage is in the game, I forgot. It is a great game, to put it lightly. However, its single-player offerings aren't the greatest in the world, and the fact that some Smash Bros. Staples were cut entirely is a bit puzzling. Ultimate single-player lacks a lot of variety. While the classic mode is really cool this time, featuring character-specific routes for each fighter, it adds to the fact that single-player-wise, it's basically non-stop spirit battles. Ultimate features these collectibles called spirits, over 1,000 pieces of character art from other games. They're the basis of spirit battles, which take a character in a specific costume or color on a specific stage with specific conditions that are supposed to invoke the spirit of the character it's representing. These are the basis for the mode World of Light, which is fundamentally just roaming around on a JPEG fighting spirits. These are all new things that are meant to replace various Smash Bros. Staples from the past, trophies, events, and the adventure mode. However, they all just feel a bit underwhelming. Spirits are just images, and compared to trophies, which were full 3D models and had descriptions and told you up to 2 different games that character was from, yeah, they're pretty lackluster in comparison. Spear paddles are crazy charming at first, but they lose their luster after a while considering there's over 1,000 of them. Plus, half the charm of a spear battle comes from understanding what they're referencing, and if you don't know the character, it's hard to appreciate the spear battle, which is a problem considering none of the spirits have descriptions of any character information like trophies did. And then the adventure mode, World of Light. It's fine, it does the job, but goes on far too long. But now I have to ask, where are all the things from previous Smash games, like Home Run Contest? It's a little weird they're not here considering so many of the things missing from Ultimate were present in Smash for Wii U. And Ultimate was built off of Smash Wii U, so it doesn't seem like these things would be hard at all to bring over into Ultimate. Now most of these complaints are honestly nitpicks. I'm still playing Spirit Battles in Smash Ultimate, I 100% in World of Light, not because I was over the moon in love with these things, I just really like Smash Ultimate, and these things, while not the most fun things in the world, were fun enough to play in short bursts. I found myself playing 30 minutes of World of Light before bed to feel I accomplished something that day. One of the most negative things I can say about a game are just, yeah, this part about the game is a little mediocre, but not bad or anything, and everything else is pretty spot on, that's when you know it's a good game. However, I do have to say, with this Smash happening so quickly after the last one, I didn't have the same excitement I had for Brawl or Smash for 3DS and Wii U when they came out. I feel like myself and countless others were asking for Smash for Switch not because we were dying for a new Smash game, but because we literally just wanted to play Smash Brothers on the Switch. A year or so ago, I would have been perfectly happy with an enhanced Smash for Wii U port. And to see we got Ultimate, I'm more than happy with this, even if I do have some nitpicks here and there. On the same day as Smash Brothers, Katamari Damacy Reroll and Sega Genesis Classics came out. That was a mistake. Katamari Reroll is fantastic. Just the same old Katamari Damacy from the PlayStation 2, but now in beautiful HD. I love it. How it was hard to find a physical copy of this game. I believe it was a GameStop exclusive, and I didn't know that until after copies were selling for crazy amounts of cash. But thankfully they restocked it, and it's hanging out on my game shelf now. Sega Genesis Classics is a great deal for only $30. I'm not a fan of the overall menu aesthetic. It looks really cheap to me. But other than that, it has a great selection of titles for a great price. No Sonic 3 and Knuckles or Echo the Dolphin though, so nowhere near the Ultimate Collection, but still a no-brainer for $30. Gotta be honest, not a ton of other notable titles came out in December, but hey, we got 4 gallons of announcements at the Game Awards this year. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 was announced as a Nintendo Switch exclusive published by Nintendo and developed by Team Ninja. I know these games have a fan base, but this was an odd game series for Nintendo to revive. Joker from Persona 5 was announced as a DLC character for Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah, that means Persona 5 is coming to Switch. It hasn't been announced yet, but yeah, that means Persona 5 is coming to Switch. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled and Mortal Kombat 11 were announced as multi-platform Switch titles. CTR I totally get, but Mortal Kombat 11? Nobody expected that. They showed the trailer at the Game Awards, and I don't think anybody was saying, yeah, it's coming to Switch, but no, it is. There's a logo and everything. There were lots of rumors about the Metroid Prime trilogy coming to Switch and being unveiled at the Game Awards, but that never happened. Oh, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll unveil it alongside new information on Metroid Prime 4. That was uncalled for. After being announced at E3 2017 and nothing else, Nintendo announced they were not pleased with the development status of Prime 4 and decided to restart the project, now being developed by Retro Studios, the original studio behind the Prime trilogy. Now, a lot of people were upset about this, and I totally understand, but honestly, I was pretty okay with this overall. First off, we knew nothing about Metroid Prime 4 other than some jank logo. Hearing that the game we knew nothing about was still coming, it was just being restarted, didn't really bother me because, you know, we knew nothing about it. The rumors were that various segments of Bandai Namco were working on the game, and I felt Bandai Namco could probably be trusted with Metroid Prime, but I have way more faith in Retro. Sure, the original team that made Metroid Prime is long gone, but Retro still makes really good games. I don't have any worries concerning Prime 4. Many were expecting a Nintendo Direct for January, but that never happened. We got random spurts of information like Yoshi's Crafted World's release date and an Indies showcase on Nintendo UK's YouTube channel, but that was about it. Really though, who cares, because New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe released, oh fuck. I played enough New Super Mario Bros. U, I didn't want to contract anything again, so I haven't picked this one up. If anything, this version is worse than the Wii U release. Later releases of the game already included all the DLC, plus it had Boost Mode, which relied on the Wii U gamepad and challenges associated with it. They took all that out and they added Toadette as a playable character, but with that they made it so then if you're playing 4-player multiplayer, one player will have an advantage because Toadette and Nabbit have special abilities. You can't play as just Mario, Luigi, Blue, and Yellow Toad all together anymore. You're either Blue or Yellow Toad, and then the 4th player is Toadette or Nabbit. That's dumb. Also, just reading this title gives me a hernia. Nintendo also published Fitness Boxing, another sign that we ain't getting a new Wii Fit style game from them. They just published some developer's fitness game, but apparently this is a huge hit in Japan. And I gave the demo a whirl, and it does offer a decent workout. Wii Fit games are more fun, but if you're looking for a fitness game, this one is fun enough and will get your arms squealing. Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes finally released, and it really wasn't what a lot of No More Heroes fans wanted. It was basically a top-down hack and slash, and a lot of the No More Heroes charm is lost by getting rid of the third-person perspective. Yeah, it wasn't the craziest month. The lack of a direct was really depressing, just because what else were Nintendo fans expected to talk about? New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe? Holy shit, alright, we're here. The last month, and it was a pretty packed one for news. A direct finally happened on February 13th, and that thing started and ended great. Super Mario Maker 2 opened the show up. I don't think anybody could come up with anything negative to say about this. It did everything I wanted for a Mario Maker sequel. Beautiful. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening ended the show, a full remake of the Game Boy game. I'm a little worried this may be like Let's Go and be a little too simple considering the world map is from a Game Boy game, so you know, everything's based on a grid. But I'm not too worried, it looks fantastic so far. And everything else in the Direct kinda reeked. The middle was just filled with games that did not interest me all too much, a lot of RPGs I wasn't into and just plain bad looking ports. Rune Factory 4 Special was stated to be fully remastered. What? Dead by Daylight and Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered looked rough. Like, why did they look this bad? For some reason, Hellblade is coming to the Switch? I mean, cool? Astro Train was a new Platinum Games exclusive title, which looked fine, but man, I think that name is kinda dumb. Captain Toad is getting DLC. Why? Just make a sequel. A new Box Boy, and they literally played a 4-minute long trailer for Dragon Quest XI. I get it, Nintendo wants to push Dragon Quest. This is the definitive edition. It looks great on the system, but good god, 4 minutes for a game that released last year? But all was saved by the announcement that a free game was coming after the Direct. Tetris 99. You against 98 other people playing Tetris. There's not much to this game, it's just Tetris with 99 players, but it is such a fun pick up and play game, plus it was free! Finally, a reason to get Nintendo Switch Online! There were loads of rumors going around that Microsoft was planning various Xbox games, Xbox Live, and Xbox Game Pass for the Switch, and if that's true, which it probably is, oh my god, that will be amazing! Just so many more games on the Switch, including games I would have never pictured playing on a Nintendo console. This is so cool. Later in February, Pokemon Sword and Shield were unveiled, the true Pokemon games to be released in late 2019. I mean, they're Pokemon games, that's for sure. I saw a fair amount of people express disappointment with the fact that Game Freak seemingly isn't doing much to push Pokemon in a new direction. But I mean, Sword and Shield look like perfectly fine new Pokemon games overall, just nothing crazy. They do look like HD 3DS games. I think they look pretty good visually overall, but there's obviously areas that could use a lot of improvement, and graphically it doesn't look mind-blowing or anything. Well, that took about 4 years off my life, but we finally got through the Switch's second year on the market, and overall I hate Nintendo. Really though, the best way to describe this year was disappointing. 2018 was just not the greatest follow-up year to 2017. This felt like such a filler year in terms of Nintendo's offerings. I mean, really think about it. How many in-house Nintendo-made games came out? Like, other than Labo and older games, nothing really. They just published second and third-party titles. They obviously just rode this year out and banked on Pokemon and Smash Bros. To save it, and they were completely right because they did. While I love Smash Bros. Ultimate, and throughout the year the upcoming release of the game made things interesting, the year itself was pretty lackluster overall. I feel like Nintendo used 2018 to quietly work on a lot of future games because it's obvious 2019 is going to be filled with a lot more heavy-hitting first-party titles. Mario Maker 2, Animal Crossing, Link's Awakening, there's so much coming. 2019 feels exactly how 2013 felt for the 3DS games-wise, and that was one of the handheld's best years. Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon, 2D Zelda, Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, even little eShop titles. All games the Switch has coming in 2019 that the 3DS had in 2013. I'm pretty stoked. But still, in terms of last year, Nintendo's support for 2018 was, in one word, underwhelming. To me, each of their big new games were either unfinished at launch, just plain lacking in content, or underwhelming. Sure, we got a lot of the Wii U's greatest hits, but those are old games. I already played them. Now, of course, I don't speak for the people who never played games like Tropical Freeze or Captain Toad and were able to play them for the first time. They're great games. They deserve to be played by everybody. But they're also old ones for a lot of people, including me. I still like ports on the Switch, but I want them to supplement new games coming out, not fully replace them. And ports are fundamentally 90% of the Switch's library. Don't get me wrong, I want every game ever made on the Switch too. It's incredibly convenient to have so many games from different kinds of consoles and time periods on an all-in-one portable home console. There's always something to play on this system, but the fact that the vast majority of this library is old, makes the system less exciting sometimes. It gives the system less character since it's primarily characterized by titles that it can't call its own, which is weird to say about a Nintendo system. Like I said, I like having these ports and older games on the Switch, but that's almost all that comes to the system. I want to see more new original titles released for it, both from Nintendo and third parties. But with Nintendo, they're almost out of Wii U games to port over, and thinking about some of the games they have left, I think Mario 3D World will make the jump. This game would feel way more at home on the Switch than it did on the Wii U, especially with the 2 Joy-Con instant co-op multiplayer. I'd be more than okay with the Paper Mario Color Splash port just because ditching the Wii U gamepad would make this game way better. Wonderful 101 would definitely benefit from one. Yoshi's Woolly World, it would be nice if they pulled a Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition and combined the content from the 3DS and Wii U versions. Pikmin 3 is probably gonna happen. I'd prefer a Pikmin HD collection though. Or, better yet, Pikmin 4 for God's sake. But I'd prefer much older games remastered compared to Wii U ports. I just played a lot of these games a few years ago. Why not remaster some much older titles? Obviously because that would be a lot more work, but still, I would rather see some remasters. Of course, you may say, with all this old game talk, but Scott, there are loads of original games on the Switch. Not everything's a port or an old game. Well, yeah, there has to be some great original games, but I can't find them in this minefield of shovelware. The Nintendo Switch eShop is horrendous. Every time I log on, it lags and stutters more and more because too many games are releasing on it. Now that must be a good thing, right? No, of course not. Most of these games nobody has ever heard of and nobody wants to play. I think this is just porn. The eShop desperately needs an overhaul. Nintendo added this featured tab, but it doesn't really do a good job highlighting games you might not have heard of. It mainly just showcases games we all know are on the system. Speaking of the eShop, I already said this last year, but I really wish Nintendo would put out more smaller games on there like they used to do on the 3DS. Just throw out random things on there like Pushmo or another Snipper Clips, or better yet, completely original games. That would have definitely helped things out when there wasn't a ton coming out I was itching to play. I feel like Sushi Striker would have been the perfect kind of eShop game. But unlike Pushmo or Snipper Clips, which were downloadable titles at a low price, Sushi Striker came out at retail for $50, and that's a major problem in general with Switch content. There has rarely been a great deal when it comes to Switch accessories or games. This has been a thing since launch, but it's been especially noticeable this year when something like Kirby Star Allies comes out for $60. When Kirby Planet Robobot for the 3DS came out a few years ago for $40 and had more content. Capcom recently revealed that Resident Evil 1, 0, and 4 would cost $30 each when they cost $20 on the PS4 and Xbox One. Why? I guess publishers are pricing Switch-related items crazy high just because they know they can, and it's just ridiculous. I've recently started playing Resident Evil 4, and I adore it. I was gonna buy the Switch version on release, but I guess I'll just wait for a sale now. I do quite enjoy the Switch, and while I finally remember and somewhat miss the days of 2017 when we only got 20 games a month, albeit good games, I'm happy that it's been this monumental of a success. I want to see it succeed and become better, which is why I'm very critical of it right now. This isn't the charming little console that could from 2017 anymore. This is a legitimate platform with thousands of games ranging from retro to indie to AAA releases, which makes the problems that are still here after they could have been fixed since launch that much more irritating. We're still waiting for a better eShop experience, a much better online service, more new original games from third parties, a better lineup of legacy content from Nintendo, a more robust operating system. For God's sakes, this whole "we're focusing on games" at launch was cute, but it's been 2 years, Nintendo. This is ridiculous. No internet browser, no way to browse social media. You can post to it, but not browse it. No menu themes, no folders, still no Netflix. Oh my God. I want the Switch to be the best console it can possibly be. So when Nintendo does something that I find underwhelming or just plain bad, I'm gonna talk about it in a tone that'll make any grandmother faint. I didn't personally find 2018 that crazy exciting on the games front. But that doesn't mean the system is bad, far from it. The last year was sort of lackluster for me, but 2019 is looking to definitely be an improvement, and I am legitimately excited for the future of this console. The Nintendo Switch has potential to be one of the greatest systems of all time. It just needs to fix a few things. The eShop needs a better design, the overall quality of the online service needs to be improved, the releases of newer and older titles should be much more evened out, needs to refrigerate food better, kill 99.9% of germs, eat my vegetables, tell me ghost stories, drive my cousin to school, and if it does all that, then I think we have a winner on our hands.